Big homie wanted to look like a gay painter.
50's been on Hov's neck for years, but now Jay's finally firing back, breaking his silence with a clip that's lighting the timeline up. This isn't random smoke either. It's the Super Bowl situation that almost didn't happen, and people are just now putting the pieces together.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those trophies came rolling in, buddy.
Something low-key has been brewing in the hip-hop streets for a minute, and most people completely missed it. This isn't about charts, radio spins, or who's trending. This goes deeper than the studio and straight into the boardrooms, where power moves decide who eats, who gets opportunities, and who's left watching from the outside. What makes this whole thing extra wild is that this isn't some dusty 90s beef that should have stayed in the past. This is recent, and according to 50, it's personal. He's claiming Jay-Z worked behind the scenes to keep him off one of the biggest stages in the country, the Super Bowl halftime show. We're talking Super Bowl 56, February 13th, 2022 at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. The hype was massive, and the show was already being called historic. But now, people are asking what almost went down behind closed doors. It was supposed to be a straight-up moment for the culture. For the first time ever, the Super Bowl halftime show was really putting hip-hop front and center, with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar all sharing the same stage. Then out of nowhere, like a flashback from the early 2000s, 50 Cent popped up upside down, rocking that iconic pose from the In Dog Club video, and the internet lost it. Memes went crazy, throwback energy was everywhere, and fans called it legendary almost instantly. But according to 50 himself, that moment almost got cut completely. And the name he puts on it is Jay-Z. Now this is where the power dynamics come into play. Since 2019, Jay's company Roc Nation has been partnered with the NFL to run the Super Bowl halftime show. That means major influence over who gets selected, how it's produced, and the overall creative direction. According to 50, Jay allegedly used that pull to try and keep him out. In December 2024, he went on Cameron's show and said Jay went straight to Dre and told him he didn't want 50 anywhere near the performance. But that's where the loyalty kicks in, because Dre stood firm, and so did Eminem. That's real ride or die energy. Now, here's the part that really changes the whole conversation. 50 isn't talking about creative differences or scheduling issues at all. He's straight up accusing Jay-Z of using his corporate position to deliberately block another artist's moment on the biggest stage in America.
Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago.
And when you really sit with that, it stops sounding like regular rap tension. This isn't just two rappers who don't mess with each other. This is about power, control, and what happens when old street-level beef gets dragged into executive offices. But the plot gets even thicker. 50 also said that Eminem stepped in and gave the NFL a clear ultimatum. He wasn't performing unless 50 was included.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened,
possibly. Not even threatened. You know, I think it's just when you take the competition from. Like our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand.
That version of events was later backed up by Tony Yayo, who confirmed it during an interview with DJ Vlad. Think about that for a second. One of the most hyped halftime shows in Super Bowl history almost lost Eminem one of its biggest draws over this situation. If that's true, that's not petty beef anymore. That's the kind of move that could cost networks millions and leave everyone scrambling on the biggest night of the year. 50 went deeper in a July 2024 interview with The Hollywood Reporter saying, "They wanted to leave me out of it. It was them fighting for me to stay out of it. It should be in the NFL paperwork now. Eminem is not performing." Then in October 2024, when he sat down with The Breakfast Club, he doubled down, saying Jay blocked him and tried to shift the blame to the NFL, but he saw right through it. According to 50, people in the industry quietly told him exactly where that resistance was coming from. So the big question becomes this: what would make one of hip-hop's biggest power players allegedly try to block another artist like that? 50 says it all comes down to the Super Bowl bag and straight-up competition. In his view, this tension goes way beyond music. 50 Cent believes his massive run in television, especially with the Power franchise on Stars, turned him into more than just a rapper. That success made him a real competitor to Jay-Z and his wider entertainment empire. At this level, it's not about who's got the hottest verse or the biggest first-week numbers. This is about empires, market share, and control over where hip-hop business is headed. 50 also pointed out that when the backlash first hit, the NFL publicly took the blame. But he says he knew that decision didn't start there. He believes it came from Roc Nation all along. From his perspective, the corporate shield was in place. and the deniability was built in. Still, 50 says he saw exactly who was pulling the strings. What makes the situation even louder is that Jay-Z has never publicly addressed the claims, not once.
When it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It just don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for?
Some fans see that silence as taking the high road. Others read it very differently, believing it gives more weight to 50's accusations. The conversation didn't stop there either. In September 2024, Cameron and Made even speculated that Lil Wayne was blocked from the 2025 Super Bowl over old tension, drawing clear parallels to what allegedly happened with 50. To a lot of people watching, a pattern started to form. The reactions online were split right down the middle. Some fans immediately sided with 50 Cent, calling Jay-Z petty or labeling him a gatekeeper who allegedly abuses his position of power. Others rushed to Jay's defense, pointing to 50's long history of instigating beef and saying this could just be another chapter in his reputation for stirring the pot. The truth, like always, probably lives somewhere in the messy middle. What can't be ignored is that no official statement has ever come from the NFL, Roc Nation, or Jay-Z himself confirming or denying the claims. That silence has allowed 50's version to dominate the conversation. And for a lot of people watching closely, that silence says more than words. But to really understand why this runs so deep, why Jay would allegedly go that far to keep 50 off the Super Bowl stage, you have to rewind all the way back. Every major hip-hop rivalry has an origin story. And this one started long before fame, TV deals, or vitamin water money. Back in 1999, Curtis Jackson was just a hungry rapper from Queens with a stalled deal and dozens of songs nobody seemed to care about. That's when he made a bold move that set the tone for his whole career. Inspired by the notorious B.I.G.'s 1993 track, Just Playing Dreams, 50 decided to flip the script, metaphorically taking shots and making noise in a way the industry couldn't ignore. 50 flipped that whole concept into a robbery theme, and the result was How to Rob. It was a track built around him imagining robbing just about every major rapper and singer in the game. Nobody was off limits, and Jay-Z definitely wasn't spared. One of the bars aimed his way went like this: Jigga just sold $4 million. He got something to live for. I ain't trying to put holes through that Bentley coupe door. It was bold, reckless, and perfectly calculated. That kind of shock value was exactly what an unknown rapper from Queens needed to get attention. The song spread fast through white label vinyls passed around to DJs like Funkmaster Flex at Hot 97, reportedly getting hundreds of spins a week and flooding mixtapes across major cities. Before long, everyone in hip-hop was talking about this new guy with the nerve to name-drop over 40 artists in one song. Most people laughed it off, some ignored it completely. But Jay-Z responded, and that response set the tone for their dynamic for decades. At Hot 97 Summer Jam in 1999, Jay-Z delivered a now legendary freestyle where he brushed 50 off with a line that framed himself as real money and reduced 50 to spare change. The message was clear and dismissive, and it perfectly summed up Jay's approach. That same line later appeared on Somehow, Some Way from Volume 3, Life and Times of S. Carter, released in December 1999 and produced by Timbaland. Jay doubled down, positioning himself as the standard while minimizing 50's presence.
Ain't never been no 50 Cent Jay-Z conversations, questioning whether there was a competition between the two of us. There's a huge difference in energy internationally in 50 Cent and Jay-Z. In fact, his largest selling record sold 430-something thousand copies. My largest selling records, plural, 2 of them sold 5 million.
50 didn't let that slide. In 2000, he fired back with Be a Gentleman, directly questioning Jay-Z's street credibility and making it clear this wasn't a one-off exchange. From that point on, the tension was locked in. 50 didn't hold back at all. In his response, he mocked Jay-Z's age, image, and claims of being authentic, basically saying success on paper didn't equal real street respect. The tone was reckless and confrontational, and it showed he wasn't scared of challenging anyone's status, no matter how big their name was. That back and forth could have spiraled even further, but fate stepped in the harshest way possible. On May 24, 2000, 50 Cent was shot 9 times outside his grandmother's house in Queens. He survived against all odds, but the aftermath was devastating. Columbia Records dropped him. His debut album, Power of the Dollar, was shelved, and the rivalry was suddenly put on ice. 50 spent the next 2 years recovering, rebuilding, and grinding through mixtapes, while Jay-Z continued his dominant run with projects like The Blueprint in 2001. For a moment, the tension faded into the background as both men focused on their own lanes. But everything shifted again in 2002, when 50 was signed by Eminem and Dr. Dre to Shady and Aftermath. Then came Get Rich or Die Trying. Released in February 2003, the album sold 872,000 copies in its first week and eventually went diamond. Songs like In Da Club and 21 Questions were everywhere. At that point, the question wasn't whether 50 was legit. It was whether anyone could stop him. Jay-Z saw it coming. In a 2013 interview on The Breakfast Club, he admitted warning his artists, saying, "Y'all got a chance right now. Put out a lot of music because 50 Cent is coming." What followed was an uneasy truce. In 2003, the two appeared in the same Reebok commercial, co-headlined the Rock the Mic tour, and even crossed paths creatively. But underneath that surface-level peace, the rivalry never really disappeared. 50 has long claimed he outsold Jay's S. Carter clothing line by a wide margin, bragging it was 6-1. Whether those numbers are exact or not, the bigger point is that the tension between them never really faded.
A huge difference in who we are with each other internationally. Let them be fooled in America and think there's a competition there, because America could be purchased. We can buy it with marketing dollars. You see what I'm saying? But the rest of the world, there's not enough marketing dollars to go around to change the way the rest of the world feels about you.
50 Cent has consistently framed himself as the more dominant force commercially, especially on a global scale, pointing to sales and reach that tell a very different story. He's also been unusually open about what he believes is Jay-Z's biggest weakness. According to 50, Jay avoids direct confrontation and prefers to have other people step in front of him.
He's a piece of work, man. He always put somebody in front of him. When Jada came for him, he put Beanie in front of him. And Beanie went back and forth with Jadakiss. When Cam came for him, he put True Life in front of him. And they went back and forth. And he just didn't compete.
In 50's eyes, conflicts don't get handled head-on. They get managed from a distance. That criticism spills into Jay's public image too. 50 once labeled him the coolest punk in hip-hop, a calculated contradiction meant to suggest that Jay's clean corporate presentation makes him look polished, but less intimidating in street circles.
Coolest punk in hip-hop. His presentation makes people decide to say,
Oh, man.
you know, because he's big, and his take on it is bigger than the actual art form. He won't actually
The message is clear. 50 sees Jay as someone who plays the game strategically, using corporate structures as shields and letting others do the fighting. Whether that's smart business or a flaw depends entirely on who you ask. And this rivalry didn't stop at music. In 2004, 50 made a major business move by partnering with Glaceau, the makers of vitamin water, choosing an equity stake instead of a standard endorsement. When Coca-Cola acquired Glaceau in 2007 for $4.1 billion, 50's share reportedly turned into a massive payday, further shifting the balance in this long-running power struggle. That vitamin water move reportedly turned into nearly $100 million after taxes, and 50 never lets anyone forget it. Around the same time, Jay-Z sold the rights to his Rocawear clothing brand in 2007 to Iconic's brand group for $204 million in cash. Both were massive wins, but 50 consistently framed his deal as the smarter play, calling it proof that ownership beats a quick payout. The business tension didn't stop there. As the years went on, both men built expanding empires that naturally competed for the same cultural space. Then in 2007, the rivalry took a dramatic turn when Kanye West's Graduation and 50's Curtis dropped on the same day. What followed became one of the most talked about sales battles in hip-hop history. Kanye won decisively, moving 957,000 units to 50's 691,000 in the first week. 50 didn't take the loss quietly. He accused Jay-Z of orchestrating Kanye's victory by proxy, claiming Jay used his influence during his time as president of Def Jam Recordings to make sure Kanye had every advantage. The accusation fit perfectly into 50's long-running narrative of Jay as a strategist who stays clean while others fight the battles. But in recent years, 50 has pushed the rivalry into even more controversial territory. If the Super Bowl claims turned heads, his comments about Jay-Z's Grammy Award success hit even harder. In multiple interviews throughout 2023 and 2024, 50 floated a theory that stirred non-stop debate. He suggested that Jay's historic Grammy run, now sitting at 25 wins, is tied less to musical merit and more to his marriage to Beyoncé. And that claim lit up the internet, drawing cheers from 50's fans and outrage from Jay-Z's supporters. and it pushed this decades-long rivalry into a whole new lane. To be completely fair and accurate, Jay-Z did have Grammy wins before his first collaboration with Beyoncé. He had 4, not 1 as 50 Cent sometimes suggests. Still, 50's broader point isn't totally off. Jay's Grammy wins clearly accelerated after his partnership with Beyoncé became central to his image. Out of his 25 total Grammy Awards, 21 came after 2004, lining up with joint projects, high-profile appearances, and his evolution into a polished mogul and family man. 50 ties that shift directly to what he sees as a calculated image transformation. In his view, this fits into a bigger issue with the Grammy Awards themselves. He's long criticized the institution for rewarding image and relationships over authenticity. He often brings up Tupac Shakur, pointing out that Pac never won a Grammy despite his massive cultural impact, using that as proof that raw influence doesn't always translate to industry approval. 50 does have Grammys of his own, but his criticism goes beyond personal frustration. He positions himself as someone calling out an industry he believes prioritizes connections and optics over genuine impact. More recently, his commentary has gone even further. 50 has repeatedly linked Jay-Z's public image to Jean-Michel Basquiat, accusing Jay of modeling his entire look and aesthetic after the late painter. It may sound random, but it shows how wide 50 is willing to swing. Nothing is off limits. Jay's appearance, his authenticity, his business moves, even his personal growth. 50 once brushed off Jay's 444 album as golf course music, suggesting it was elitist and disconnected from the streets that made him famous. He's also mocked Jay's aging through memes, keeping the rivalry alive in every lane possible. The irony of this whole saga isn't lost on hip-hop watchers. You've got two men who came from nothing. Jay-Z from Marcy Projects and 50 Cent from Queens, both building massive empires. By all logic, there should be respect. Instead, they've spent over 25 years locked in a Cold War that moved from rap records to boardrooms to social media. 50 has been consistent about one thing. He doesn't claim to hate Jay personally. They're civil in real life. What he takes issue with is Jay's approach, using corporate power to settle personal scores, staying shielded behind business structures, and avoiding direct confrontation. That's where the contrast lies. 50 thrives in discomfort. He built his entire persona on being direct, aggressive, and impossible to ignore, the complete opposite of how he views Jay's calculated diplomatic style. And that's why this rivalry isn't ending anytime soon. As long as 50 has a platform and Jay has an empire, the shots will keep coming. Some quiet, some loud, but all of them keeping hip-hop's longest-running Cold War alive. 50 Cent moves loud and fearless, posting straight through controversy while most stars hide behind publicists. Jay-Z moves the opposite way, quiet and calculated, letting contracts, lawyers, and corporations do the talking. Two completely different styles of power, the street versus the boardroom. What's wild is that after all the diss tracks, sales wars, business clashes, memes, and allegations, neither man ever took the other out. Both are still standing. Both built empires from nothing. And whether they admit it or not, they pushed each other to level up. This isn't just beef. It's a long chess match that helped define hip-hop's corporate era. And judging by history, this story is far from finished. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let us know whose side you're on, and we'll see you in the next one.